Hey, it's Dan Moralez, and this is Home Buyer Radio, episode number 27. This week, we're going to continue on down the road talking about mortgages and divorce. This week, what I want to talk about is if you are paying child support and or alimony and how those things can impact you in your ability to qualify for a mortgage. Okay. Now, if you're paying child support or alimony, as a general rule of thumb, typically, they are going to count the child support you're paying and or any alimony or spousal support as part of a monthly debt. So you're going to treat it kind of the same as a car loan or a credit card or anything like that in most cases. Now, we're going to talk a little bit in a little more detail about that because there are a couple of small exceptions to that as it relates to alimony and or spousal support. Okay. So if we're talking about child support, the only time that you can exclude, let's say, child support as part of your monthly debt to income calculation is going to be if you can show that that support obligation is going to last less than 10 months. So in other words, if you're not going to have any support that you're going to be paying in 10 months or less, in most cases, we're not going to be required to have to count that support against you when we qualify you for your new house. Okay, so that's good news there, right? Now, obviously, if you're going to be paying it for longer than 10 months, then an underwriter is going to look at what the obligation is, and they're going to qualify you with that child support payment being calculated as part of your debt to income ratio, right? So if you are paying alimony and or spousal support, and the terms are kind of interchangeable for the most part. Some states call it alimony, some states call it spousal support. Okay, but if you're paying alimony and or spousal support, in some cases, now, and this doesn't apply to every loan product that is out there, but there are some investors and there are some government loans that are out there where they actually do not count that as a debt, but they count it as a reduction in the income that you have to qualify for the mortgage. Now, you may wonder, well, what's the difference, right? What does it matter? If you reduce my income by the amount of my alimony, it's still, coming off the numbers or that calculation, right? I'm going to show less income to qualify, even though you're not necessarily counting that as a debt when I qualify for the loan. Well, the difference that makes is it makes a pretty big difference in your overall debt to income ratio. So that is actually a more favorable calculation when you go to qualify for the mortgage. So, in those cases, if you have, alimony or spousal support that you're paying, there are some cases where that math can actually make a difference. Now, if you look at the biggest buyers of conventional mortgages, those would be, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they treat alimony and spousal support as though it is a monthly debt obligation. Okay, so that makes your debt to income number look a little bit crummier. Now, the good news is there are some investors that buy conventional mortgages that are not Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and they do it at terms that are equal to, if not better than Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And I can think of one investor in particular where they treat spousal support or alimony as a reduction to income, which again is more favorable when we go to calculate your overall debt to income ratio. FHA does the same thing. They reduce your income by the amount of alimony or spousal support, which again also makes it easier to qualify for a mortgage versus if you were to compare it to, let's say, a conventional mortgage through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So this is one of those things where, it's really important that you work with a good loan officer that knows these things, right? Because so often people think that, all loan officers are created equal and that everybody has the same knowledge and skill set. Well, the truth is, if you look at doctors, they don't, right? Not every doctor has the same knowledge and skill set. And, if you needed to have something done for you personally, you want to make sure that you find the most competent, skilled doctor out there to help you, and you should be thinking the same way, when it comes to your mortgage. You want to make sure that you've got somebody who knows what they're doing. It's going to be able to make sure that they guide you through this process, they get you qualified, they get you approved under the most favorable rates and terms. And of course, that person would be me. Right? So that's the reason, it's big part of the reason why we do this podcast. So, if you're looking to, get qualified for a mortgage, and you've been through the process of a divorce, I know how much of that sucks, right? Been there, done that, and it is not fun. So love to help you kind of move on with the next chapter in life and get you qualified and get you taken care of. So again, my name is Dan Moralez. This is Homebuyer Radio. You can contact me at 616-931-4629. Again, 616-931-4629 or dan@danmorales.com. Again, dan@danmorales.com. And danmorales.com is my website. That's just danmoralez.com. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, Northpointe Bank is an equal housing lender.